That's right. Taking Stock is 3 years old. It is our birthday. Well, almost. Our official birthday is October 28th, this Thursday coming. So it's our birth week. This is the week when we launched Taking Stock for the very first time on October 28th. 2019. Can you believe we've been around for 3 years already, giving you all the business news that you need to know, giving you the IPO alerts, the breaking money news, interviewing countless executives, CEOs, and all the good stuff in business in Jamaica and the Caribbean. I'm Kalila Reynolds, and welcome to another edition of Taking Stock Live. We're bringing you all the latest business news. We're telling you how it will affect you and your money. And like I said, it's a birthday. We're gonna party like it's a birthday. We're gonna sip Appleton like it's a birthday. Yes, yes, yes. The celebrations are beginning, and we have a lot of fun stuff planned for tonight. So make sure you stick around for the whole show. We have some giveaways for you. And of course, don't forget to head over to the website at KalilaReynolds.com. Once this live has ended, you can get my newsletter straight to your inbox twice a week. And remember, if you haven't done it just yet, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and let us know in the comments where you're joining us from. I see a lot of people early commenting in the platform. So I'm going to shout you out real soon. Just let me know right below where you are joining us from tonight, what part of the country and what part of the world. Now, here is a look at what's coming up in tonight's show, followed by what's hot in business. And come on, let's get this money.
It's our birthday! Taking Stock is turning 3 years old this week, and we're celebrating with tons of giveaways. And two former SoctiaBank execs have teamed up to launch Jamaica's newest financial company, Quantas Financial Group. What is Quantas, and what are they bringing to Jamaica's already busy financial sector? CEO Dr. Adrian Stokes will join us. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. Dolla Financial Services has released its third quarter results. How did they perform? Jamaica's inflation rate finally dipped below 10% in September, but the BOJ is still expected to continue increasing interest rates. And the co-founder of the Profit Room, Ernest Curry, is back to tell us how we can profit when the stock market is going down while protecting our pockets. But first, here's what's hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. Trading in 1834 Investments shares was suspended on the JC on Tuesday, October 25, as its acquisition by Radio Jamaica moved into its final stages. 1834 was formed after the Gleaner Company separated its non-media businesses prior to the merger with Radio Jamaica to form the RJR Gleaner Communications Group. The suspension is to facilitate the processing of shareholder payment elections and final payments of cash and Radio Jamaica shares to 1834 shareholders. Shareholders in 1834 Investments have been offered $1.29 in cash, 50 Radio Jamaica shares per 1834 share, or a combination of cash and shares. The final day for trading was October 24. The Supreme Court now has to give final approval on the scheme of arrangement. Nature and Adventure Tour company Chukka Caribbean got a $4 million equity boost from Cygnus Deneb Investments. Cygnus Deneb is a private entity investment company managed by Cygnus Group. It typically invests in medium-sized companies with revenue ranging from $5 to $50 million. According to Cygnus, the investment was made by issuing convertible preference shares that will help Chukka continue its local and regional expansion. Chukka is one of the leading nature adventure tour operators in the Caribbean. The company operates over 85 tours in 5 countries: Jamaica, Belize, Turks and Caicos, the Dominican Republic, and Barbados. The investment in Chukka is the second investment by Cygnus Deneb. The first was Aruba Wine and Dine in 2020. Financial securities dealer Money Masters recently launched its M7 Real Estate Fund. The fund offers customers the chance to participate in high-yield, professionally managed real estate investment opportunities. It's expected to raise over $1 billion in subscriptions. Speaking at the fund's launch, Money Masters President Claudette Crooks said the rising interest rates have negatively impacted the construction and real estate industries, as well as the purchasing power of the average Jamaican. She noted that the fund will give Jamaicans the opportunity to own a piece of real estate. Following a brief rally on Thursday, the pound sterling fell against the US dollar on Friday as political uncertainty continues to threaten the UK's economy. The rally came after news of Prime Minister Liz Truss's resignation. Truss, who now owns the title of the UK's shortest-serving Prime Minister, resigned after just 45 days in office. The former PM had been facing growing calls to resign following a series of failed tax changes. The pound slipped to $1.11 on Friday before clawing its way back to around $1.12 by the end of trading. Rishi Sunak became the UK's fifth Prime Minister in 6 years on Monday. Streaming giant Netflix shocked everyone by announcing it gained 2.4 million new subscribers worldwide during its third quarter. Netflix lost almost 1 million subscribers in its second quarter, its first loss in over 11 years. The company managed to reverse its fortunes, doubling Wall Street's expectation in the July to September quarter. During the quarter, Netflix released the final episodes of the sci-fi hit Stranger Things, plus the serial killer series Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer Show, which became one of Netflix's most watched series of all time. The company is also getting ready to launch its new ad-supported tier. This option will reportedly cost $6.99 US per month, but will not have the full Netflix catalog. What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. This segment of Taking Stock is brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, insurance made easy.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's shout out our viewers, especially the early ones. Let's see who we have here. Shout out to D. Duncan, who was the first person to comment today. Says, greetings from Bronx, representing ready and waiting to get this money. Shout out to Demar, who says, blessings from St. Mary. I can't wait to hear about this new financial company. I'm hoping for another IPO too. You know, we're definitely going to ask that question. Kish, as usual, joining in from London, and he says he is anxious to hear about this new company. Are you? Sean is tuning in from Toronto, waiting with bated breath. Wow. And then we have Maurice Graphics King, who says, big up yourself. Kalila, tuning in from the roadless parish of St. Thomas. Wow, you have internet? You have internet in St. Thomas? No shade. You called it roadless, by the way. He said, but your show 2 weeks ago told the world that St. Thomas won't be forgotten much longer. Let's get this money enough too. Yes, I support that 100%. And then we have QB Quillholic Art, who says, every week when I get no shout out, must be because you don't know how to call me username. It's pronounced. And then he goes on to not write the phonetic spelling. KB Quillholic Art. I'm hoping I say that right. Dialing in from Grand Cayman. This is the first I am seeing you write anything in the comments, KB. And I read through all the comments. So if you haven't written anything in the comments, how am I supposed to shout you out? But I'm glad that you are now on board. You're writing in the comments. Big up yourself all the way from Grand Cayman, KB. So a lot is going on today. Like I told you, we have our giveaways coming up. Remember to hit the like button if you haven't done it just yet. And here is our first giveaway. We're going to have 3 giveaways tonight to celebrate our 3rd birthday. Cute, right? And our first giveaway is, of course, going to be my Investing for Beginners Masterclass. And this one is for the day ones. So we're going to see right now who's been with us all 3 years, who has been watching this show since October 28th, 2019. As a matter of fact, even before that, because the question is, who was our very first guest on Taking Stock? The first person I interviewed on the show all the way back in 2019. Who was it? And this was the pilot episode, so it wasn't even the show that aired on October 28th. This show came out in September before the official launch. It was on YouTube. That's when I was trying to generate interest, proving the concept, proving that people wanted to see this show on the airwaves. Who was our very first guest on Taking Stock? Whoever gets the answer wins my Investing for Beginners Masterclass. And let me start looking through the comments. Let me see if anybody has gotten the answer just yet. Yes, I see you know. Interestingly, the winner is somebody who won recently. So Al Swaby, congratulations. It was indeed John Jackson. And if you remember, This was when he was launching QWI. When QWI was doing their IPO, we had John Jackson on the pilot episode of this show. So Al, you're a day one. You won a couple weeks ago from JN, and now you win the Investing for Beginners Masterclass. We already have your email address, so we will be contacting you no later than tomorrow. You can use it for yourself. You can gift it to somebody if you would like. But I'm going to say that you are deserving of this prize. Congratulations, Al, and thank you so much. Shout out also to a few other people I see. Where is it? Random poster says, hello, I'm a 16-year-old investor excited to learn tonight. Welcome, random poster. Happy to have you. All right. So yes, John Jackson was the very first guest on this show 3 years ago. It's a birthday. We're going to party like it's a birthday. And it's now time to get into our interview, our main interview, into our show for this evening. So you might have read this in the paper. Former SoctiaBank executives Jacqueline Sharp and Dr. Adrian Stokes have launched Jamaica's newest financial company. This is Quantas Financial Group. So who are they? Or who is Quantas? What is Quantas? And what are they bringing to Jamaica's already busy financial sector? Well, here to tell us more is CEO of Quantas Financial, Dr. Adrian Stokes. Hi, Adrian. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good night and happy birthday.
Thank you so much. And it's great to have you on the show. Have you been on the show before? I'm trying to remember.
No, I haven't been on this show before.
This is your first time? Well, welcome to Taking Stock.
This is my first time.
Because I know I've interviewed you many times before on like Nationwide and other places, but finally we get to speak on this show. Yeah. So before we start talking about Quantas, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get started in finance?
Well, it started many years ago, straight out of grad school. I must say thanks to JMMB. They recruited me out of grad school, having had me as a trader, investment manager. And, it grew from them, from that point, took off. And, great team at JMMB. And went over to Scotia, and, the rest is history. So got my start, and I must thank the JMMB team.
Yeah, because you've been at Scotia for quite some time. How many years you spent at Scotia?
A little over 10 years.
Yeah.
I spent 5 with JMMB and a little over 10 with Scotia.
And I remember seeing the announcement a few months ago that you were leaving SoctiaBank to pursue other interests. And I was like, what is Adrian Stokes up to? So why did you decide to leave?
It was it grew really out of opportunities that we're seeing in the region. One of the good things about my role at Scotia, I got to see regional opportunities, not just what was happening in Jamaica, but across our region. And I had responsibility for our investment management business. And I noticed that we had a pretty interesting problem at the time. We had lots of liquidity, but we were unable to find suitable investment opportunities, not just in Jamaica, but across the region, and certainly in the major markets. And so I started to look at how to bridge this gap that we were seeing in the market in terms of capital being available, but not the right solutions or solutions that could be customized to meet different types of investors. And that's really why Quantas came about. Quantas came about to bridge the gap between the availability of capital and the users of capital, but not just to bridge the gap, but to do it in a way that is customizable so that investors can choose the type of risk return trade-off that they want to take.
Right. And so that brings us to Quantas, of course. Why did you guys choose that name, by the way?
It's actually, it comes from the Latin word quantus, which means how great. And working with our team, our marketing team, we decide to settle on the name Quantas.
And what does Quantus mean?
So Quantus means how great. So the word is a Latin word that means how great. And we effectively just did a play, or we do a play on the word to come up with Quantas.
Right. All right. So first thing I think when I hear the name is something with numbers, quantity, quantum, that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So what
Yes. And that's a key part of our DNA as well. So it resonated with us as well, the quants part of it. Because if you look at our team and look at the background of the persons involved, they're all pretty strong technically. So it was, when we worked with our marketing team and we chose the name, it really works well for us.
right, because you actually partnered with Jacqueline Sharp to launch this, who is a former boss of SoctiaBank. So you're a former boss and in business together. What's it like working with her?
No, Jackie and we have really good chemistry from the Scotiabank days. She's really smart, great leader, very insightful, and someone that I trust, significantly. And so it really was a no-brainer for us to come together to offer this investment opportunity to investors, not just in Jamaica but across the region.
So I understand that Quantas Financial Group is actually made up of three businesses. You have Quantas Capital, Quantas Investments, and Quantas Management. So break it down for us how each of them will function.
Right. So Quantas Management, it's the workhorse of the group. It is the vehicle that will manage the various investment vehicles that we offer to investors across our region. Then we have Quantas Capital that we intend to license with the regulators, in particular the FSC in Jamaica. And that will allow us to do certain important things to execute our strategy. And then we have Quantas Investments Limited, which effectively will work as a special purpose vehicle to deal with certain classes of investors in Jamaica. So those are the three companies and the effective roles that they play.
Okay, I was reading an article in the Jamaica Observer that explains that Qantas is looking to get into trade receivables. So explain what that is and how that business model works.
Right. So our first investment opportunity that we have in the market is what we call a securitization vehicle, right? The actual name of it is Quantas Advantage. And effectively what Quantas Advantage does is that it will purchase different types of contractual cash flows. It could be trade receivables, it could be longer term receivables, but any receivable that is contractual in nature, in the sense that the cash flows are predictable, in the sense that they'll be repeated, it's bound by a contract that is enforceable, then it's eligible to be purchased by Quantas Advantage. And effectively what we'll do is that we will securitize, or we'll create a new security that's backed by this cash flow. And then we will off-sell this security to different types of investors. So let me give you an example. Let us say that you are a developer of commercial properties and you have tenants that you have leases with. And let's say that you want to monetize or to raise some cash flows against these leases that you have. We will purchase the leases from you at a price to be negotiated, and then we'll use that lease, and then we'll manufacture a security, or we'll securitize the lease into a new security that will sometimes get it rated, and then we'll sell to a new type of investor, be it pension funds, insurance companies, accredited investors. But effectively, Kalila, that's how the model works.
That makes sense. So you get paid upfront for receivables that you may have up to a year from now.
Absolutely. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you can imagine that if you have properties, for example, that you're collecting rent on, and you have long-term rent or lease arrangements, and you're in need of cash upfront, that's something that we will offer you. We'll buy that lease off you. It could be whatever tenure, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. We'll find the price that works for both of us, and we'll purchase it. And then, but that's not where it ends. We will then utilize that cash flow and create a new security, and then that security will be sold to different types of investors. So as you can see, basically we sit in the middle, and we are providing a solution to persons who want to raise cash flow, right, by selling contractual contracts that they have, be it leases or mortgages. And then, there are different types of investors who want diversification, right? Who want to move away from your traditional Jamaica Stock Exchange and bonds and repos and so on. So that's what we are doing. We are creating a new asset class for investors, and by creating this new asset class, we are providing liquidity or capital to investors who want to sell cash flows that they have to go and do other stuff.
Very interesting. So what type of cut do you get out of that? Like, what percent do I pay a percentage to you for the benefit of getting my receivables paid up front?
Right. So the discount rate, of course, is the key the key factor in that transaction. In other words, what we will do is that, let us say it's a 5-year lease that you have, and you want to dispose or sell that lease to Quantas, right? We will look at the appropriate rate, and that appropriate rate, first and foremost, will be based upon the government rate. In other words, the risk-free rate, and then we'll add a premium based on how risky those cash flows are, right? And that pretty much gives you the discount rate, or the rate that we'll use to discount that cash flow.
Right. So speaking of risk, when you talk about the receivables market, isn't that kind of risky? Like, what type of risk are you taking to take on this?
Right. Well, Quantas itself doesn't take a lot of risk, because effectively what we sit in the middle, and we are looking at different types of cash flows. We apply a very rigorous risk process to the assessment of the risk of these cash flows. So, for example, if let us say, Kalila, you are a developer and you have built a building, and then you have leases with the tenants in the building. What we will do, we'll come to you and say, okay, fine. If you want to sell us the leases, then we'll do an assessment of the tenants, right? Look at their businesses, see, if these are reliable businesses, if they have good cash flows, and the high probability of them paying back. And if we're comfortable with our risk assessment, then what we'll do, we'll create a security, and then we will sell that security, which means that Quantas itself, the investors in Quantas itself, or the fund itself, doesn't really take a lot of risk. We effectively manufacture a new security with the cash flows that we have purchased, and we sell that off to investors who actually want to keep that risk. So effectively what we are, right, we find out from investors what type of risk they want to take. So, for example, a pension fund will come to us and say, find us a 5-year lease and manufacture a security for us. We will go and find someone with leases, and we'll do our assessments, our due diligence on those cash flows. And if we're comfortable, then we'll manufacture the security and sell it to the pension fund. Effectively, we sit in the middle as a manufacturer of securities, not necessarily staying or keeping the risk on our book for the long term.
So the beauty of your business model is that you get paid twice then.
Well,
basically.
It's not really getting paid twice. We get paid once, but effectively we are connecting both sides of the equation. So we have investors who want to put capital to work, and then we have, let us say, a developer who wants to unlock capital, who wants to unlock cash. And then we put those two people together, we create a solution, and we get paid for creating that solution.
So we have a few questions from the audience. Let's get into them. The first one comes from Learn, Grow, Invest Club. They want to know what happens if they do not repay. So I guess if the people who, we are.
Right. So first and foremost, we are really, really good at risk management. Anyone who knows our background, knows of our professional pedigree, and what we have done in the past, will know that the team at Quantas is extremely good at risk management. Having said that, and once we apply our robust risk metrics to the various cash flows, and we create a security, that security is now passed on to someone who buys that security. As I said, be it a pension fund or some institutional investors or accredited investor. Just like with any bond, any financial instrument, If the person who is on the hook to pay does not pay, then there is a default, and then you go through that default process. This will be no different. What we do is that we ensure that there's a robust risk management process that is applied to the selection of the types of cash flows that we end up purchasing.
Next question comes from Elaine, who wants to know, what if the tenant objects to this kind of investigation?
Well, effectively, we don't even talk to the tenants per se. We talk to the lessor, right? The person who has an agreement with the tenant. We look at the history of the payment. We try to understand the business of the payment. Presumably, this would be information that the lessor has anyway, right? In many instances, the tenant probably won't even know that the lease agreement that they have with the lessor has been sold, right? So we try to be very judicious with our due diligence process.
Next question comes from Chris, who's asking, who are your competitors? Do you even have competitors in this space? Because it sounds like you're inventing something quite new.
Yeah, the truth is this vehicle is the first of its type in Jamaica and in the region, right? So it's the first dedicated securitization or asset-backed securities vehicle in the market, right? And we're very proud of that. One of the things that Quantas we pride ourselves in is innovation, right? So a lot of the things that we do will be new to the market. So you're never going to see us replicating or building stuff that we already have in the market. And Kalila, you mentioned about the crowded financial space in Jamaica and in the region. And we don't see it as crowded, to be completely honest with you. Our market is still at a very rudimentary or early stage of financial development. If you compare a market to, say, the US or Canada and Europe, you will see that we are very, very early in the financial development process. What is crowded that a lot of persons are probably employing the same strategies, right? And that's why we enter the market, and we are going to be known for innovation. Just like the vehicle that we have launched, we want to give investors options. We want to provide good diversification options for investors.
Interesting. And yes, a lot of, when you mention crowded, yes, you do have the same people going after the same customers with the same products. So there is a lot of the same. Next question comes from Lanesra, says, do you think a lot of pension funds are invested in that security, which sounds short term?
I'm not sure I understand the question, but what I will say is that we intend to create different types of assets or securities for not just pension funds, but all different types of investors across the spectrum. The good thing about this first investment vehicle that we have in the market is our ability to customize. Customization is very, very important. So if you are an investor and you require a 1-year security with a certain type of quality or credit rating, then that is something that we can manufacture. If you are an investor that require a longer term security, like a 10-year security, that's backed by mortgages or backed by leases and so on, that is something that we can manufacture. So effectively, the first product to come from Quantas is the securitization vehicle. And in a nutshell, what it is a manufacturing entity. It's a financial entity that manufactures financial assets for different types of investors.
So I'll take this last audience question, and it comes from Romario, who wants to know, what other products will Quantas be offering? Right.
So we have products that will come under 3 broad headings. Structured products, and our securitization vehicle comes under structured products. We have products that will come under what we call real assets. And real assets are things that you can touch. So for example, real estate, it could be ports, it could be leasing airplanes and so on. What you should look out for is that Quantas will be coming with things that are not in the market. So we have structured products, we have real assets, and we have another category that we call strategic opportunities. And these opportunities will be more technologically driven investment opportunities that we'll be bringing to our investors.
So what about regional expansion? Like, what opportunities do you see in the region for this type of service?
Massive. right? As I said to you earlier, you just have to look at the regional market. And in many ways, the Jamaican market is the most sophisticated of certainly the English Caribbean markets. What does that mean? It means that as a region, we have a lot of room for growth and development. And it's very, very important, right? Because at its core, right, regions and countries develop when they have developed financial markets, or financial markets that are able to allocate capital efficiently. And that's one of the opportunities that we see in the market where Quantas can play a role, right? We believe that we can improve the functioning of our markets in the region, thereby improving the capital allocation and thereby driving growth and development and ultimately employment for people. So we do intend to be a regional business. We do intend to contribute to the development of our financial markets, because we believe, as in other regions, that the financial markets they are key to the allocation of capital and also growth and development.
And I heard that you already specifically have your eyes on the Dominican Republic.
I can't say where we will be headed next, but as I said, it's very, very important for us to solve some of the real opportunities that we're seeing in our region. And again, I go back to your earlier comment that the markets are certainly in Jamaica seem crowded, and that's because a lot of the strategies are similar, right? There's so much to be done. And again, just compare our market, look at the type of assets, financial instruments in our market versus what's in the United States, what's in Canada, and then you'll realize that, wow, we have a long way to go.
Well, I'll ask you this last question. I can't let you go without asking it. And I did promise the audience that I would ask it. I saw the question come in from the audience as well, from Romario, who said, any plans to list Quantas?
Well, there are entities in the group that will, of course, be listed. We will offer the market, the wider public, an opportunity at the appropriate time. So yes, we do have intentions to list certain investment vehicles at the appropriate time.
And what timeline are you looking at?
I don't want to say Kalila, but it's at the appropriate time. We'll be bringing interesting investment opportunities to the market.
Okay, well, just let us know. You know who to contact and who to call, right?
Absolutely.
The audience is ready and waiting. They're interested. Thank you so much for joining me, Adrian.
No problem. It's good talking to you, Kalila. Again,
and
good
all
luck.
The best with Quantas. We look out for the breaking money news. So, to our viewers this evening, it is time for your poll question. So, comment below and take tonight's poll on Twitter and on YouTube. Here's the question. It has to do not with Quantas or Jamaica's financial industry, actually with the UK. What's going on in the UK right now? What do you think about the UK Prime Minister Liz Truss resigning after just 44 days? Well, I feel like I should have asked about Rishi Sunak, the new Prime Minister. But let's ask about Liz Truss for now. So, about time. It's about time in a minute. Anyway, about time. She was terrible. Let's watch the impact on the pound. The UK is a hot mess. I hope they can find stability, or I don't care. What do you think about the resignation of Liz Truss after just 44 days as Prime Minister of the UK? And congratulations, of course, to Rishi Sunak, the UK's new Prime Minister, their first brown Prime Minister, only 42 years old. Ooh, and I feel like he should have gotten it before over Liz Truss, but some coloration things were going on, and now they finally decided to give him the role. So let's see how it goes. I saw Trevor Noah joking. I saw it today on TikTok. Trevor Noah was like, he's only 42 years old, which means that he could be there well into his 42 and a halves. Boy, Trevor gets me every time. All right. So before we get into our market recap, it's time for our second giveaway, courtesy of our friends at Link to Lenders. But first, let me just shout out Al again, because Al is the winner of our first giveaway for the evening. Al, you can win again. Not for today anyway. And Al said, I've only missed one episode of Taking Stock since it started. So yeah, very, very well deserved, Al. And then Aisha Henry said, I'm here if Al Swaby wants to re-gift. So Al, if you already took the master class or you don't need it, Aisha is offering to take it off your hands. So our next giveaway is courtesy of our friends at Link to Lenders. And the prize is a digital gift card that can be used online to make purchases at over 500 retailers locally and over 2,000 retailers online, including Amazon. So here is the question. Ready? Get your typing fingers ready. What is the name of the managing director of Link to Lenders? And hint, hint, he was a guest on Taking Stock just a few weeks ago. What's his name? He was here, 2 weeks ago, the managing director of Link to Lenders. Remember that organization that allows you to go online and have lenders compete for your business, especially in real estate. Who's the managing director? And the winner will win a fabulous prize that we just mentioned. Do we have a winner yet? Not yet. I think so. I think we have a winner. Yes, we do have a winner. So congratulations to Jason Craig Watson. Indeed, the managing director of Link to Lenders is Jason Dare. Congratulations. So Jason win for the answer about Jason. Interesting that you remembered his name, right? All right. So you will be winning that. And just email us, put your email address in the chat, please, so that we can contact you. Put that email address right there in the chat so we can reach out to you and tell you how you can claim your prize. And for those of you watching, while you're at it, just hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button as well. Up next, we've got your market recap, and the analysts are standing by.
This segment of Taking Stock was brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, Insurance Made Easy. Time now for your market recap. The JC Combined Index lost almost 2,000 points or 0.5% last week. 122 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the week ending Friday, October 21, 2022. 54 made gains, 58 lost value, and 10 stayed the same. 62 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $344 million. Wigton Wind Farm was the week's most traded stock. It took up 33% of market volume, with people buying and selling 21 million shares in the company. The stock opened this week at 53 cents. Trans-Jamaican Highway was the second most traded stock, with people buying and selling 3 million shares in the company. The stock gained 3 cents to open this week at $1.36. And Dolla Financial rounded out last week's most traded, taking up almost 7% of market volume, with 3 million shares trading. The company released strong Q3 results last week. The stock's price gained 6 cents to open this week at $3.38. Now let's see who had the biggest gains for the week. JMMB Group 7.25% was last week's biggest gainer. The stock was up 17% to open the new week at $3.19. Margaritaville Turks was the week's second biggest gainer, up 16%. The stock gained $3.19 to open this week at $22.60. And rounding out our biggest gains, CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preference shares is up almost 15% to open the week at $1.17. On the losing side now, T-Tech was last week's biggest loser, down almost 18% to open the new week at $2.70. ISP Finance was the week's second biggest loser. The stock was down nearly 15% to open Monday at $17.01. And rounding out the biggest losers was Sterling Investments USD. It fell almost 15%, closing the week at 2 cents US. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index was mostly flat last week. Massey was the most traded stock. It opened this week at $4.50 TT. Point Lisa's Industrial Port Development was the market's biggest gainer, up 5% to open this week at $3.25 TT. And on the losing side, Agostini's fell 4% to open the week at $42.08 TT. And in the U.S., the Dow Jones gained almost 3.5% last week, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq gained almost 3%. Over at the pumps, motorists saw a dip in gas prices last week as both grades fell $4.50, while diesel prices went up by $3.06. In foreign exchange, it took an average $153.81 Jamaican to purchase $1 last Friday. That's 11 cents more than a week before. Meanwhile, it took an average $173.29 Jamaican to purchase £1 and $153.04 Jamaican to purchase €1 last Friday. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin prices rose almost 1% in the past 5 days. The cryptocurrency was trading at $19,305 on Monday. Ethereum rose 4% in the past 5 days, trading at $1,339 on Monday. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, is brought to you by Jamaica National Group. We'll help you find a way. Disclaimer. This is not intended as financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It is almost time for the analysts. First, let me shout out people in the comments as usual. So a lot of people are wishing us a very happy birthday. Learn, Grow, Invest Club says congrats on 3 years. KRM team, thank you so much. And he says he remembers that interview that we did with John Jackson as well. Chantel saying, I'm here. Happy birthday, KRM. Thank you so much. Nessa says she just discovered us. So welcome to the team, Nessa. Come over to our side. Orville saying, oh, this is regarding Liz Trust now, regarding our poll question. Orville said she secured her pension and cut. Elaine said similarly, that is how you chop a pension plan. LOL, set for life. Hashtag UK. And then Steve pointing out that the PM's job is not an easy one. That is absolutely true. They've now had, 6 prime ministers in 5 years ever since Brexit. Ooh, yeah, just been downhill ever since Brexit. And then Devon wanted to know, who are the Jamaican investors that Seprod selling AS Bryden shares to? Great question, Devon, because we have tried to find out for the past week and our messages have gone unread. We get blue check and no answer. Our phone calls have not been returned. So we still don't know, or at least I still don't know. Maybe David knows. David always knows, and he's one of our guests this evening. I'm going to ask him in just a few. It is time now for the analysts. So let me introduce our panel. I'm joined by Head of Asset Management at JN Group, Hugh Miller, business writer at the Observer newspaper, David Rose, and guest analyst and co-founder of The Profit Room here on YouTube, Ernest Curry, is back with us. Hi, guys.
Hello. Good
evening.
Great.
Congrats on the
Great
anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you
3
so
years,
much.
going strong.
3 years going strong indeed. So before we get into tonight's topics, we have another giveaway, and this one is courtesy of the JN Group. So get ready. Here's the question. What year was JN Fund Managers established? And this is not for any of you three. This is for our viewers tonight. What year was JN Fund Managers established? And you can take a wild guess. Maybe you'll be right. Let's see. Does anybody know what year was JN Fund Managers established? Right now is a good time to have high-speed internet. So, I said the answer already come in. Did you Google that real quick, or did you just know? Congratulations to Kisanio Leng, who says 1996. How did you know that so quickly? Congratulations, Kisanio, who knew the answer to what year JN Fund Managers was established. And remember as well, please, all our winners for this evening, please leave your email address in the comments so that nobody can just try claim your prize and say that their name Kisanio and it's not you. So please leave your email address. Everybody who's won tonight, all three of our winners, well, Al, we already have yours. Our other two winners, leave your email address in the chat, in the comments, so that we can contact you with your prize. Congratulations again, Kisanio. So this evening we are going to be starting with Dolla. Last week, you guys are all up in the comments saying that you wanted us to discuss Dolla Financial Services Q3 results. Well, we've now had a little time to digest it, And I'm going to ask Hugh to go over that. Hugh, you've had the past week. So, what are the highlights from Dolla's Q3 results? How did they do?
Well, I would just say, Khalida, and to your viewers, that Dollar pretty much hit the ball out of the park. You recall they came to the market with an IPO in about June. They got $500 million. They put that to work. And what they, in essence, did was double their loan portfolio to about 1.2 billion. And what that translated to was their profit quadrupling from 40-something million to 188 million. So I think it's a success story because they would have also achieved this by keeping their non-performing loan in single digit. Now, in the micro lending, side of the business, the industry standard for non-performing loans. When I say non-performing loans, we're talking about the instance in which within 90 days pass and you find that some of the loans become overdue. So they have managed to keep their non-performing loans in single digit in an industry where typically the non-performing loans get to about 15%. So it's a success story. They raise the funds. They have deployed it efficiently. They have quadrupled their profits to 188 million for the 9 months. And, the sky's the limit for them because, they're just a team bounding with energy and just, very ambitious in terms of, in regional plans. So I would just say that, those are some of the highlights for Dolla Financial. And it also paves the way for other companies that are looking to come to the junior or the main market, is that whatever you commit to doing, you actually do it. So that bodes well for confidence in the equity market.
Absolutely. Did you say that they've quadrupled their profits?
Very much so. Very much so.
Wow. So how were they able to achieve that? Is that a direct result of the IPO that we're seeing that early result from that offering?
Certainly. So what they did, they made a dramatic change in terms of their business model. Prior to COVID, before they came to the market for listing, most of their loans were to individuals. And what they did, just to I guess, by virtue of the economic climate, they pretty much flipped the switch. And so post-COVID and utilizing the funds from the IPO, about 70% of their loans were to micro and SMEs, pretty much business owners. And that was a big shift relative to the industry which they operate, where most of the loans tend to be to individuals. And of course, that's when you have the issues with non-performing loans eating out at the profitability. That's pretty much what they did. They just radically changed their business model in the post-COVID. So now most of their lending will be targeted to micro and SMEs. And so therefore, they pretty much most of the revenue just fall straight to the bottom line. The other thing that they did, Kalila, which was very interesting, they managed to grow their loan portfolio from about 500 million to 1.2 billion. Wow. And keep their what I call it, they refer to as the efficiency ratio, but it's pretty much their cost to revenue. So they have kept their cost to revenue at about 50%. And of course, their largest competitor will remain nameless. Their cost to revenue is about 70%. So you understand, that's another big thing which they did, to separate themselves from the other players in this space, the micro lending space.
Elaine says at this rate, they're gonna need fresh capital every month. Well, I think they do have a bond out, don't they?
That's correct. So they initially came for $1 billion, and just by virtue of the interest in the bond, they have decided to upsize it to 1.5 billion. Now, what the CEO has indicated from Dolla Financial, Kadeen Mears, is that pretty much all those funds that are raised via the bond, which will be deployed into loans. So of course, it can be deployed organically, or they might use some of those funds to acquire another micro lender one who already has a robust loan portfolio. So all that you're seeing up to September 30th, not a dollar out of that has anything to do with the funds that they're looking to raise from the bond issue. So the bond issue will close shortly. So you'll have probably close to another $1.5 billion to deploy into loans to businesses. And just by virtue of their efficiency ratio, you can just expect that the profit momentum is going to continue to be pretty robust and pretty impressive.
Yes, yes, yes. We are, I mean, they are just growing, growing, growing. We know that they opened up in Guyana, and I know that they have some other markets that they are very eager to tap into as well. So Dollar doing big things. Richie says, I wonder if they will pay dividends. I see Raquel saying that you need to check the prospectus to see what their dividend policy is and what they plan to do with that. Elaine actually saying no dividend is needed at this time. They need to inject that capital back into the business. And based on how aggressive they are with their growth and the acquisitions that they are looking to make, you may be right, Elaine, as to what they are about to do with the company. Let's move on to David. Hi, David.
Hey, Kalila. So just some points to add on what Hugh said. So Dollar raised $250 million, not 500 million. The offer was capitalized of 500 million. The other 250 went to equity and first private equity. And the company bond closed last week, waiting to see how they're going to deploy it. And they also mentioned that they're going to launch Ultra, which is basically the rich people's lender in a sense, which is going to be lending against assets that wouldn't typically be considered by the commercial banks, like a vintage car, land, property, Rolex watches. So that's something to watch. And Barbados, Bahamas, St. Lucia, look at those markets as well, and they're expanding pretty well in Guyana. So it's a good look all around. And what also as the point out is that Dollars only paid one dividend in prior past, which should have been in 2020, which was $25.5 million, and dividend policy 50%. So hope that adds some context.
Well, let's look at, before we come to your topic, David, do you have any information on the Bryden's deal that we were talking about last week?
Oversubscribed.
So it's oversubscribed already, and is it closed yet? Because it was supposed to close or scheduled to close on the 30th.
That says enough.
So it's closed. It doesn't necessarily say enough. If they don't close it until the close date, you still have an opportunity.
So the thing is that I reached out and it was being offered in Jamaica as a private placement in a sense, and the minimum was 100K USD. So it got some pretty good demand, and it's closed. So that's just the reality of what's going on right now.
Okay, so special people, high net worth individuals got to participate in that one. You money have to be 100K USD and up, and it was oversubscribed. So whoever think money is not in Jamaica, you are sadly mistaken. People have it 100K USD, they have it, and it was oversubscribed. You're gonna add something, David?
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting because once this property closed and everything, we should see them on the JSC if all goes well before the year ends. So let's see what happens then at that point.
Okay, so people shocked at the amount rich people think that is. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about inflation before we come to Ernest. So Jamaica's inflation rate finally dipped below 10% in September. We're talking about the point-to-point inflation rate, meaning September 2021 compared to September 2022. We're now at 9-point-something%, but we have an indication that the BOJ is still likely to continue raising interest rates. So even though it has been working, they still apparently want to continue the strategy of raising interest rates. Why, David?
So inflation was point-to-point inflation was 9.3% up to end of September, which is a good sign for us. But our good old trading partners up in the US, their point-to-point inflation went from 8.3% to 8.2%. So that's not much of a significant movement, and that kind of showing that up in the US, inflation is kind of sticky in a sense. And if you even go to what you call quote unquote core inflation, it's above 6%. And in the case of Jamaica, we are an open economy, and the BOJ is focused on maintaining financial stability. So if the BOJ was to, for example, have not been acting for all this time, and let us say our rates are matching the USA, for example. So let us say our rates just reached 3% now. then persons will be like, why I keep my money in Jamaica? Although, persons could always, take the money outside of Jamaica and invest it overseas, they'd be like, if US is giving 3% and on treasury bills, for example, and their market is much more robust, larger, they'll be funding their debt, but I'm going to invest in Jamaica. So the persons would just take their capital and move it elsewhere, that would create pressure on the dollar. And if, the exchange rate goes up, that creates more inflationary pressure in turn in the economy, because we're a heavily import dependent economy. So, that's the kind of reality that's kind of playing out. And although high inflation is going on everywhere around the world, every central bank, whereas the most central banks that are following sound monetary policy, where inflation is quite elevated, is raising rates. Or many neighbors to the south, Trinidad and Tobago, they have not adjusted their rates since COVID started. And because the thing is, although inflation is relatively higher, it's not at a historic high or that elevated that would require such a response. So the U.S. Federal Reserve Open Monetary Policy Committee is meeting next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, and they've gone on with 3 consecutive 75 basis point hikes, and the reality is those are the highest of hikes they've had in years, and the reality is the Fed is trying to bring inflation down in a sense. And for those who are wondering, when the central banks raise the policy rates, it means that the other banks or interested in the market are going to raise their rates, to compensate for, there being a cheaper alternative to lending. And, if banks, businesses, and persons can't access capital, they'll spend less. And, that's just the simple concept that, comes into play when persons think of, how central banks kind of try to control inflation. And, another way is to remove excess liquidity in the market. So, for example, when the BOJ sells US to the market, they're taking GMB out of the system. Mm-hmm. So that kind of gives a simplified understanding of what's going on. And the BOJ said they want to maintain a particular interest rate differential, meaning the interest rate that is here in Jamaica versus the US. So that's why you might see the BOJ still react and raise rates. But probably in a short order, if the US does slow down a little bit in terms of their rate hikes, they might see a reduced rate increase or just no increase at all. But that comes down to the external realities that we don't have any control of, which in this case the US Federal Reserve, who is also independent like the BOJ.
Well, let's see if they actually follow through, because we're now at what, 6.5%?
Correct.
6.5%. So another rate hike would be likely 7% if they keep at it as they've been doing for the past few months. So let's turn now to Ernest, who has his eye on the U.S. markets. Welcome back, Ernest.
Hey, I'm glad to be back. How you doing?
You guys, you can go and follow his YouTube channel, The Profit Room, right here on YouTube. And you would have seen in Market Recap just now that the U.S. markets didn't do so bad last week. It wasn't terrible. It's not the red and the blood that we've been seeing for the past few months. I saw, let me take a look back at what the numbers are. So the Dow Jones was up 3.4%, S&P 500 up 3%, NASDAQ up almost 3% as well. So it's been a very difficult few months, Ernest.
Yeah.
And investors have been seeing red. The stock market has been going down, apart from a few isolated weeks when we've seen upward movement like last week. So how can you profit from the stock market going down while still protecting your pockets?
So I'm always the bad guy when I talk about this, right? Because a lot of people come on, they talk about the prosperity, great investments, things of that nature. But the thing that we have to understand in the world of investment and trading, they make these vehicles for us to be able to capitalize in all types of markets. And let's face it, all businesses don't succeed, right? All businesses don't succeed and they don't thrive. We all want to thrive off of a deal, no matter what. For every buyer, there's a seller. So you buy a stock at $10 US, you sell it at 20, you made the profit, right? Somebody who bought it at 20, it may have dipped down. That's the loser, right? That happens with everything in life. So I know in the Jamaican markets, as of yet, I don't know if they agreed or decided about the short selling, but I'm going to show you. I'm going to share my screen in a minute right here. I'm going to give you what I like to call at the profit room right here, a guide to short selling. So what I really
Perfect,
want
because yes, it is coming. It hasn't started yet, but it
you, okay,
is coming very soon.
beautiful, beautiful. You guys are going to love it, right? You guys are going to love it. I don't mean to get so excited about it like that, but I just want to show you guys this. So when you're short selling, right, I'm going to explain what is short selling, how does short selling work, and I'm going to give you an example. Now, it's really important that you guys open up your minds to this. It's very important. It's the thought process of how we make money, right? You have to change your thought process. So when you're short selling a company or stock, right, you're looking to profit on a decline. Earlier during the market recap, we saw a couple of companies that was down like 4% for the day, right? It was like a $2 or $3 drop USD, right? So it may be a little confusing at first, but you guys, I'm going to simplify it as best as possible. So when you're short selling, right, you have a broker. The broker has shares of stocks, right? That's like the bank. They hold stocks for long-term investors like yourselves who may be buying or holding, right? Then you have a trader. What you need to do, the sequence is the short seller is borrowing stocks from the broker, right? Don't worry, I got another side to simplify this. The short seller immediately sells it to the stock market. So the term sells is that I'm letting my broker know I'm selling it to the stock market in anticipation for the price to go lower. Once the price goes lower, the short seller then buys it back from the stock market and returns it back to the stockbroker. You're probably like, oh God, what is he talking about? So here, let's look at the little steps right here. So you have the broker right here. The broker is the bank. Whoever you use in US, we have like Schwab, TD Ameritrade, things of that nature. They hold long-term holding stocks. It could be Apple, Microsoft, Disney, major companies of that nature that are just sitting in people's portfolios. They lend them out to the short seller. That means I'm able to borrow those shares, right, in order to bring to the market. Now, I'm anticipating the price goes lower. Once the price goes lower and I meet my target, I short sell it back to the market. Boom. Give you a prime example. So before I start, right, and give you numbers, this will be even easier for you. If you guys use a ride share program, right, for a taxi to take you, say, from down the hill to up the hill, that ride, say the ride is $40, right? It's a distance of a mile from down at the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill. That ride is $40. So that driver gets $40 from taking you from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill, right? So if the driver had to take you from the top of the hill back down to the bottom of the hill and it's 1 mile, what would you expect to still pay? $40.
$40, yeah.
$40. So let's look at this scenario right here. Say I bought a stock here at the bottom. If we look at the bottom, say I bought a stock for $42 in anticipation that the price would go up. I buy it at $42 and I sell it at $58, right? I made a $16 gain. So for example, if I bought 100 shares at $42, I sold it at $58, I made $1,600 in profit. I get the spread in between. I get the spread in between.
Right.
Now, this is the hardest thing for most people to do, Kalila. Flip your brain now. Flip your brain. Now you tell the broker, I want to borrow these shares, whatever the stock is, it says here Rio, for example. I want to sell. So this is an instrument that's created, right? You may not understand the inner workings, but this instrument is created on the back end that hedge funds use and other sophisticated investors. It's short selling. So when you put the order in, instead of hitting the buy button, you hit sell. You're telling the broker that you anticipate the price to go lower. So as the price drops and goes lower and says it hits my target at 42, I hit the buy button and I give the shares back to the broker. Thus, in case I keep the spread in between. So 58 to 42 is $16. If I shorted 100 shares, I made $1,600 in profit. Let me clarify something. If I shorted this stock at $58 and the stock price went up, I lost money because I'm telling the broker my order is specifically only to make profits when the market drops. So if the stock went up to 59.60, I'm in the red. But as long as the stock price goes down lower, I'm in the green. Vice versa. If you bought a stock at $42, your order is telling the broker that you want to profit when the market goes higher. But if the market goes lower, you're going to be in the red. So why is this so important for you to know? Because as a technical trader, myself, I trade what I see, necessarily not what I think, right? The market works with different swings, ups and swings downs, right? So this could be a great company. The balance sheets could be perfectly fine. The numbers could be perfectly fine. But sometimes there's movements in the market where you may want to exit the position or capitalize as the market goes lower. So if we look here and take a look at Disney, this Disney stock, as we currently look at it, if we're looking at red bars, that's showing us an emotion of selling pressure, right? That's showing fear. That's showing negativity in a downward motion. So if we look at this bar here around November, this is a weekly chart. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks where the market went lower. So from an estimated $180, it dropped down here to 145. You could have had an opportunity to capitalize as the stock price went lower. It doesn't mean that the company is trash, right? But it lets us know that we can capitalize, right? But here we go again. We have another 2 weeks, the market goes down. It doesn't mean that it's trash, right? The market goes up, then it continues to go lower, lower, and lower. The thing is about short selling, what people have to realize is that there's so many opportunities that you missing out of, right? There's a lot of people who are making amazing profits in this market, as well as myself. The reason why, I'm gonna give you a prime example. If we look at this chart here, we see week after week, red, 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 red. Many of you who are sophisticated traders and investors, you use stop losses to protect your capital when you're buying a stock, right? You have a stop loss. With shorting, right? Even if you're not watching the market, if your stock goes below your certain price, it hits a stop loss. and that creates a sell order to the market. Thus, as the market drops, it hits more stop losses and creates more sell orders to the market, because majority of people are long and bullish. As the stock drops more, it creates more sell orders. More sell orders creates more volume. More volume creates more electricity, volatility, doop, 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 and it starts tanking, right? It starts dropping like crazy. So if you look at a chart like this, when you see majority of a red bar, it's more violent, it's more fearful. In a trader like me, I see more money, right? Because when the average trader or investor, they don't do this. Here's Amazon, right? Look at these massive red bars. But most people been taught, buy the dip, stocks are on sale, you got to get in. But what happens when it doesn't, when it continues to dip, when it continues to drop? Somebody can give you advice right now on a red day, you buy on a red day. I don't teach people to do that. I buy on confirmation that you know the direction is going to go in the right way. Just because it's down doesn't mean it's going to go back up. Sometimes that strategy works, but what happens when it doesn't? If I tell you, oh, let's look at this stock right here. Amazon is at 145. It's going to go back up. Okay, boom. Now it's at 125. It's going to go back up. Boom. But we don't know when it's going to go back up, right? We don't know when. Everybody has a different strategy, and this may not be for everyone. But the fact that this is coming to your market, you really need to learn and take advantage of this.
So let me ask you this, Ernest, because I see some comments, excuse me, some comments coming in the chat, some responses to what you're presenting. Elaine says, with the way the JSE is performing, this will be a dangerous game to play. And then Inga Baby said, I think I'll stick to buy and hold long-term because this sounds very risky. But on the other hand, you have Richie saying shorting is a real opportunity. I can see glorious opportunity in the JSE with this. So what is the level of risk involved in taking the strategy compared to your regular buy and hold?
Sorry about that. When I first started this off, I told the audience, you have to shift your mindset. When you're trading and investing, there's always a form of risk, but you minimize your risk by getting education. That's my job, what I'm showing the audience. If you don't clearly understand that, right, it's your job to understand how this works. With shorting, you still have a stop loss. So let's go back. Let's go back to a slide, right? Many are familiar with the left side here, right? You buy at 42 and you anticipate the price to go higher. If I bought a stock at $42 and maybe I'm risking $200. So if my stock goes to 40, I get out. That's my stop loss, because I have an anticipated target and I have an anticipated stop loss. We all should have that when trading. That's a risk money management plan based upon your strategy, no matter what you do. If I'm here right now and I anticipate the market to go lower, rise in interest rates, right? Inflation, a lot of people coming out of the market. If I anticipate the market to go lower at 58, I'm gonna put my stop loss at 60, because if it goes higher, I'm still safe. I'm taken out of the trade. So what a lot of people mention about being risky, this is an instrument that's used all over the world. The fact that you guys are getting that, right, from US to the Jamaican markets is letting you know, once shorting starts, the volatility is going to pick up in the market. That's why it's great that you're listening to Kalila and following her. You guys are going to get whipped around if you don't know what you're doing. When they introduce Bitcoin to the futures market, you can short Bitcoin via futures. Bitcoin initially dropped. You guys will see a difference in your market. I promise you, once they enter this, because you're going to have the savvy investors coming into the market and doing exactly what I'm doing. And the volatility is going to turn up. So even if you don't participate in shorting, you need to understand that concept, because it's going to bring more money to the market. This is the only reason why they're doing that. You know, this is the only reason why they're bringing that to the market, because they want more market participants. More market participants brings more cash, more volatility, and more action. So hopefully that answered some of the questions that some viewers were thinking about, but I can answer more.
Right. So yes, as somebody saying, Christopher is saying that it seems like you have to know technical analysis well to benefit from shorting. Is that the case?
So technical analysis, right, is the visual aspect of what's actually going on in the market. So even though you know the numbers, you know the statistics and things of that nature, you got to understand we're emotional people. When I showed you them strong red bars, that trumps what you see on paper. I look at the fundamentals as well, but we trade the emotion. It doesn't matter what world you're in. It doesn't matter what country. If you go to a party, you're going to laugh and have a great time. You're going to have a joyful occasion. Even if you don't want to be at the party, you know that that atmosphere is joyous, right? You're going to have a great time. If you go to an unfortunate funeral, you know the aspect and the people are going to be sad, right? Even though you don't know the person who passed, you know it's sad. So you're going to react to what environment you're in. What I'm showing you is not what I'm trying to tell you. Trade what you see, not what you think. That's why I like to visually show. If you see a red bar that's massive and a great company that's showing a great exodus, that's letting you know that majority of the people are exiting that position. I just gave you an example of a great company called Amazon. I'm not making this up. You see it for yourself. It dropped 4 weeks in a row continuously. So if you can visually see that compared to your fundamentals, it helps you make a better financial decision for yourself, right? So that's where you want to be able to mix the two. Like I said, all of these companies are great. All of their numbers are still good. But since we are retail traders, we are retail investors, we're people at home like you and I that's trying to make it, especially people of color. We have to understand what the big girls and big boys are doing in the market. And when this comes, right, we can't be shocked. We can't be shocked.
Right. Well, I'm eager to hear what Hugh and David think about this, because I see some people in the comments saying that this is not going to work in the Jamaican market because the JSE is not as liquid as the markets in the United States. So, Hugh, what's your take on short selling?
Sure. I just make two quick comments, Kalila, and quite interesting presentation. So what the JSE will be doing, they're doing the training right now. So to ensure that they, in terms of the market volatility, which was just referenced, doesn't scare everybody. Not all the stocks will be subject to short selling initially. So if you look at the segment that preceded the analyst segment, when you show the market recap, the typical names, the Wigton, the Trans Jamaica, Fesco, it's likely that it will be stocks like those that are fairly liquid that will perhaps be the first ones to step up in terms of the stock exchange allowing short selling to take place. And then I think they will observe the extent of the market volatility over time before they consider, allowing other stocks to be subject to short sales. First thing I say, last thing I just say, Khalida, is that there's a very interesting saying in investing. It says a good stock is not necessarily the stock of a good company. And so the example that was given with Amazon, the typical investor will say it's a good stock, it's a household name. But there might be a point in time based on the market cycle when it's just not a good stock to hold on to. And so it's very important as a short selling will be introduced, just for your viewers to just hold on to that nugget, that a good stock is not necessarily the stock of a good company, which in a sense it means that you can't be sentimental about what you're investing in. You need to pretty much just detach the emotions and just look at the facts. So those are two things I would just add, to the presentation.
David, quickly, pro or
So-
con, for or against short selling, good or bad?
No, it's a good thing. There's a lot of concerns right now by persons in the comments, because as we're currently seeing, the volume traded each week, or sorry, not volume, the value traded each week is actually declining. At the same time, we're seeing the bid side of the queues, or the buy side, it's in thinner into the number of orders and the value of those orders. But the thing is, it's something that is good because it actually allows for your money to be made on both directions. So currently, you can money on the stock from a dividend or the stock price going up. So unless you, quote unquote, for example, anticipate the stock price is going to increase and you're going to take your profits, expecting better results, fine. But let us say the stock price is going down. You can't money on the stock is going down. You can buy hopefully at the quote unquote extreme low, and hopefully you can make some money. The price once it's back up, but when will it occur? So the shorting does add a great dynamic in the sense that it creates more flexibility for persons to capitalize on the environment. And I think the JSE in the country training the type of stocks, or which stocks can be short sold in a sense, is a good thing, because you have some companies, for example, that have 99% ownership within the top 10 and directors and executives, which is just crazy. So it's a good thing, but it's always until we see the final version or what is going to come out, and it's just at that point to see how it fully works in our market.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see when that happens. Thank you so much for that presentation, Ernest. You guys, you can go follow his YouTube channel, of course, at The Profit Room on YouTube. You can check out David's articles in The Observer. And of course, reach out to Hugh Miller there at JN Fund Managers. That's it for this segment of Taking Stock, reminding you to hit the like button if you haven't done it just yet. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it. We're going to take a quick break and come back with final comments.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, was brought to you by Jamaica National Group. We'll help you find a way.
Hey, moneymakers, you're not an official part of the family until you have your merch. Visit KalilaReynolds.com/store to order your t-shirt and your mask today. Let's get this money. Let's get this money. So here's a quick reminder of our giveaway winners. Please remember to send your contact information to admin, that's ADMIN, at KalilaRayMedia.com. Producer, can you just put up a what you call it? All right, here we go. Giveaway winners for today: Al Swaby, Jason Craig Watson, and Kisanyo Leng. Congratulations to you. And please contact admin at KalilaRayMedia.com to claim your prize. Sasha, just type it in at the bottom in a banner so that they can see the spelling of everything. Admin at KalilaRayMedia.com to claim your prize. We don't want to put your email address in the chat so that you can claim this prize. There it is, admin at KalilaRayMedia.com. So let me take a few of your final comments, and lots of them are coming in. Lots of people commenting on the short selling that is coming. It is coming. The JSE is now training their brokers, embarking on a public education campaign so people understand understand how it works. So Elaine says, it's hard to leave emotion at home when your bread is at risk. LOL, dead with a laugh. Lanesra says, I may decide against buying companies that are offering shorting because people may choose to borrow the stocks instead of buying and affect the buying demand. And Aline said that too. And then Richie says, as soon as shorting is offered, I'm trying it out if allowed, because I suspect there will be many persons like me and people will be jumping out of those stocks for that reason. Then I will benefit. So it all depends on your risk appetite. Richie like the risk. Me, I'm a little bit, or maybe a lot more conservative. So I don't know yet if I will be trying it. Maybe I will. We'll see. Marlene says JSE will not allow the little man to participate. We have too many new mad people on the island. Oh my goodness. And we have a couple other comments from earlier in the day to Raquel, encouraging you to like the video, moneymakers. Like the video. Let's make this the happiest anniversary yet. Yes, get our views up. We want to have like the most viewed video. That would be such a great birthday gift. So what you guys should do is share the video with your friends, with your family, with your spouses and your loved ones, your partners, anybody you think may be interested in this type of information, which really should be everybody, right? Share it and make it a great birthday. Garvin says, happy birthday, KRM. Been there from day one. Thank you so much, Garvin. Thank you to all of you who have wished us a happy birthday. Thank you to everybody who has tuned in for the past 3 years. And even if you're just joining us, if you're new to the channel, thank you for being here with us. So yeah. Oh, just to also mention, those of you who have won, please include a screenshot of your answer in the chat. Yeah. So our 3 winners for this evening. This remote is not working. It's not moving. All right, here we go. It's moving now. All right. So yes, congratulations once again to our 3 winners. That's our show for this week. Make sure once again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with a friend, subscribe to the newsletter at KalilaReynolds.com/newsletter, reminding you that new email subscribers get a copy of my free broker guide. And also for those of you who are in the United States, yes, that Mumu comment in the comments is not spam. If you're in the United States and you meet the following criteria, you can sign up for a Mumu account, which allows you to trade stocks on your phone. It is an app, very handy app, and you can get up to 15 free stocks when you sign up for Mumu. So just use the link in the chat. I'm going to pin it in the comments as well to get your Mumu account if you meet these criteria. So first of all, you have to have a US bank account. You need to have a social security number, and you also need to have proof of address in the United States. So if you're there, and I know about 20 to 30% of my audience right now is in the United States. So if you meet those criteria, you can indeed benefit and sign up for a Mumu account. Just check the link right there in the comments. Now, also, I want to encourage you to turn on the post notifications so that you can be the first to see everything that we drop. We want to help people learn more about money so we can all get this money together. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Kalila Ray, and follow KRM_business news on Instagram. Remember, those are my only accounts. I do not have any backup accounts. Now, if you want to connect with the analysts this week, you can check the description box below for their contact information. And you can also visit our website, KalilaReynolds.com, for financial information you can use however you like it. You can watch, you can listen to the podcast, or you can read the episode summaries. Tell a friend about taking stock, because investing is the new sexy. So let's make it cool to talk about money. I'm Kalila Reynolds. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Let's get this money.